But yeah, she just got more and more difficult. And when I used to go to work in the mornings, my daughter was about 2 by this time, and she never used to like me going to work. She used to stand in front of the door, and like we used to have a real effort to try and get out of the house in the mornings. And Katrina, like some mornings, like my daughter would wake up at like 6. Well, every morning, my daughter would wake up at like 6, and Katrina would still be in bed, despite the fact that, I'd probably got out and up to her during the night as well. But anyway, Katrina would still be in bed, so I'd get out with my daughter and give her breakfast, and we'd watch TV together. And
Mm-hmm.
then it'd come time for me to go to work, and a lot of the time Katrina would still be in bed asleep, and so yeah, there's this like 2-year-old running around the house on her own whilst their mother's in bed asleep. It's just like weren't good. And then anyway, then one day I was at work and I got a phone call, and it's the ambulance driver on the other end of the phone, and he was like,
Mm-hmm.
your daughter's like we had a cafeteria. You probably know what they are. Anyway, we had a cafeteria, and my daughter picked it up off the side, and like it was glass, and she smashed it down and slit her wrist.
Oh gosh.
And so yeah, so anyway, the ambulance man called me up, and he was like, your daughter's like being taken to hospital. So I had to leave work early,
The
and
only earner, and he has to leave work early. It's like,
yeah, like my work didn't, they didn't mind because like
yeah, that was an emergency
yeah,
at least,
yeah,
right?
yeah.
But
I actually wasn't gonna go, but it was one of the other people in work said to me like, look, you gotta go. I was like, well, she's in hospital, so she'll be all right. And they were like, no, you've got to go. So anyway, I went to the hospital, and so anyway, they stitched her wrist up, and she was
poor baby.
yeah. We took her home, and yeah, like I said, Katrina, she had a quick temper, and she, yeah, there were a few times when I had to stop her from like lashing out at Sophia,
Oh, yeah, yeah.
and it all came to like a head really one weekend when, like, it just got to the stage where I just thought, me and like the kid will be better off if you just like go. Do you know what I mean? Um, And so anyway, one weekend she was like, she wanted to go shopping. And so I was like, no, I'm not taking you shopping. Like we can't afford to go shopping. Um, and like looking back on it, I don't know how I could have handled it any differently. Like it's just like I couldn't have handled it any differently. But she got in a sulk, and so me, being me, decided to wind her up even more, and so it went on like all weekends, like just winding her up like constantly. And anyway, it got to the stage where she ended up picking up a knife and started threatening me with it. So I was like, wait there, I'm just gonna go and get the phone. So I went,
Hold on a minute. Let me
yeah,
call the
yeah,
police.
yeah. But this is how bad I was. She actually waited whilst I went and got the phone and called the police. And I was on the phone to the police, and I was like, look, she's got a knife. She's threatening to like stab me, and she was shouting at me, "I'm going to kill you, you bastard!" And I had the policeman on speakerphone. He could hear like what was going on. And so anyway, the police came within like 2 minutes. The police were there, two lady policemen, and they were like quite understanding and like nice. And they were like, well, look, can't you just like leave? And I was like, well, no, I paid a mortgage. Like, take her, you
Yeah,
know,
the person who
yeah, take her and put her in a psychiatric institution. Do you know what I mean? But anyway, they wouldn't do that, and you know, it carried on. In the end, I ended up throwing her out the garden and locking the door. My daughter, like, she must have been about 2.5, like 3 at this time. You know, she was stood by the door, and Katrina went and picked up a brick and started trying to smash the back door in, like the glass back door. You know, luckily it was like toughened glass and it didn't break, but my daughter was stood, you know, just like within like 3
yeah,
feet, like watching her mother, like,
freak out.
yeah. So anyway, I called the police again. Again, you know, they did nothing. Like, well, can't you go? I was like, no, no. No, no,
Aren't
no,
there
no, no.
aren't there laws there? Like when people act out?
Well, this is the thing, you see. This is the thing. Like, I'll tell you in a minute. But anyway, Monday morning came and, you know, I went to work. And then I come home from work on Monday evening, and her and my daughter have gone. And, like, she's left a note saying, like, you know, I love you. I don't know why you did this to me, or, you know, something like that.
Hmm. Emotional.
Like, yeah, like, you'll never see us again. Like,
Oh, well, lovely.
yeah, yeah. So anyway, I called the police. Like, you know, I didn't know where she'd gone. I didn't know what was going on. You know, I didn't know what was going on. Like, do you know what I mean? She could have gone and killed herself and my kid before all I know. So anyway, I called the police,
Sure.
and you know, like, I think someone, they were like, look, we'll call you back. And like after about an hour, I think someone from the police called me back, and they were like, oh, look, we can't tell you where they are, but they're safe. So I was like, well,
What do you
what do you
mean
mean?
you can't tell them? Oh
Yeah,
my
yeah, yeah.
God.
But seriously, this is the thing, right? She like, this is this is what I mean about the laws. Like, she's said that I'm mentally abusing her. They took her away and put her in a hostel for battered women. Right? So, like, you know, you couldn't make this shit up. Like, you're on about equal rights. Like, if you want equal rights, then yeah, all well and good. But you know, I didn't have any. Fathers don't have any rights, mate. All a woman has to do is say that
For that, you gotta blame the courts, not
she's.
the women. I mean, the women have no um they have no say in this other than, you know, women like that will milk the system. That's all it is. But that happens male female. It's just milking the
Well, like I
system, right?
say, you know, I certainly was abusive, but she certainly weren't no angel either. Like, you know, it's tit for tat. It was 50-50. It weren't. It it
I
weren't.
mean, ultimately, she branded a knife at you. You never branded a
Yeah,
knife at
yeah,
her.
yeah. I mean, it's her who was violent. Like, I was never
Yeah.
violent to her.
So I'm sorry, like, you know, that's just the system is corrupt, obviously. It's not really
Yeah,
meant to be,
yeah. I mean,
or whatever. It's wrong. Something is wrong in that
I
system.
remember one night, you know, she kept me. She woke me up to feed my daughter, and I wouldn't do it. So she, like, you know, she slapped me around the face. Like, you know, this
No,
is.
if you're home and that's your job, you know, you keep the house clean, you cook, you do those things. If that's what I'm saying. It's like just because some women are kept, there's lots of women who work their ass off and they make zero money, right? Like
Mhm.
my mom was an example of this. So it happens both sides where my mom was supposed to be a kept home and then my dad would routinely tell her, oh, I'm the one making the money, you know, after he made her stay home. She
Mhm.
got a job and everything was in place. We had, you know, a babysitter, but that month she went to work. Both my brother and I, we were in elementary. We were really young, and we
Mhm.
both, you know, our grades went down and stuff because the babysitter I got was an idiot. She couldn't even cook pasta. I mean, an Italian can cook pasta. Give me a break. And she stunk, like really. She was so disgusting. But you know, poor woman, she wasn't all there, obviously. So they had bad luck, and my dad flipped out. And I remember this. He would come home and start yelling at my mother. She had a job. She was working until like 2 or 3 p.m. and then, she could take care of us. But in that way, she would have had a pension for herself, right? He did everything. You should have seen the things he put me through as a kid. I was 5. He was horrible. And then my mom was like, yeah, I'm supposedly, a homemaker, but she had like over 20 jobs in her lifetime throughout the time she was married to him. And every time he needed help with his business, she was there because she could speak 3 languages. And in Europe back then was big deal, right? So she could have had a good job, but he prevented her, and then he threw her. He threw her in her face. Oh, I'm the provider. It's like, fuck you. You made me do this. So it goes both ways. And she always worked her butt off. My mom. She cooked really good food. She cleaned hard. That's why at 10-year-old I started helping her, because she had a full-time job. My grandma had fallen off the stairs and she broke her clavicle, and then she stayed in the hospital. They found out a tumor. So she had like over 3 months that was like working full time, my mom, and then doing nights for my grandma. And I was 10 and I started cleaning the house for her. That's how I got into cleaning. That's why I'm so good at it, because I actually did it so young, because I felt bad, because my dad wouldn't move a finger in the house because he was a man and he wasn't supposed to cook and clean. It's like, fuck you. If your wife is working full time and doing nights, what, you want her to die? Then it's all on you, right? So I get it. Look, it's not even, and it's not fair. It's really shit, because and then if the courts also screw you over like that, it's like, obviously the problem is deep here, right? Like the system
anyway,
is not. Yeah, I get you. It's not fair.
Right, so
Yeah. No, it's not fair. I'm with you.
I mean, I can kind of see, someone needed to be removed from the house, because it was only, it's only going to escalate, further.
It was a matter of time before she killed you, basically.
But I mean, like, I don't know, like, I don't know, like, can you blame the law? I mean, I don't know, like, she was at home with the kid. Like, I suppose that if it had been her that had gone to work and it had been me that, well, I couldn't have. Like I said, there aren't no hostels for bad men, so I couldn't have. Like, I could have maybe brought my kid and come to stay with family, but I don't know. Like, what would?
Yeah, and there should be. I mean.
Anyway, so.
Because kidding aside, I mean, there's a lot of men nowadays that could use the help and don't get it. And it's all because of all the shit that has been done to women. Now, it's always in history, right? The oppressed become the oppressors. And then, and they say, no, it's okay. It's not, obviously, it's not. We know that.
Well, this is what, kind of attracted me to in the first place. Like, I kind of liked that, she was feisty and like reactive. Like, I did find that attractive. And like, to be honest with you, I was such a prick that, like, no, most women wouldn't have. I mean, like I said, I struggled to maintain a relationship. Like, most women wouldn't have put up with me because I was just such a cock. So, it's like who I what, it's, I don't know. It wasn't, I'm not saying it was her fault. I certainly wasn't.
No, it's not about. It's never about fault. And when people focus on that alone, then they are missing the point, I think, right?
So anyway, she come back, and after like a day, she came back, and so we spoke, and I was like, what's wrong? And she was like, well, maybe I've got depression. Like, I'm at home all the time, and
well, yeah, no aim, feeling like she's not knowing that,
no friends, no one to talk to, like, no family, like, nothing.
It's really hard. Yeah.
So I said, well, maybe you should go to some, mother and baby group things, and like, I found some, and I went with her the first time that she went to them as well. So, you know, I tried to be more like supportive and, you know, more encouraging of her. And then after like a month or two, she got a part-time job in Sainsbury's, which was a shop. And so she used to go to work in the evenings, and I used to look after our daughter. And then, then like you know, I used to have to go and pick her up when she'd finished work at night. You know, and she kept all the money that she made. It wasn't about, you know, making any. Well,
Yeah.
well, I mean, it kind of was because it meant that I didn't have to keep buying her stuff. But
Yeah, but it was more to keep her happy and busy, right?
yeah,
Like,
yeah. So yeah, it was to keep her, you know, get her out of the house and, you know, let her, you know, have some time for herself
yeah,
and some money for herself as well because, you know, like you know, she didn't have her own money,
yeah.
and you know, I was having to, you know, support her.
I
So.
hate the handouts. That's the thing, right? It's so humiliating
Hmm.
to get handouts. I hated that.
Yeah, but
Like,
you know, it wasn't. It you know, like I say, you know, I never stopped her. Like if I left change on the side or something, like you know, it wouldn't stay there long. Like it'd be in her purse. And you know, like I used to like
call her stupid,
we
you know?
didn't we didn't have a joint account, but I used to like leave her my bank card and stuff so that you know she could go and get money out and you know do what she want. You know, I certainly wasn't like
An
stopping her from.
overlord. You weren't being an overlord.
No, no, not at all. But you know, at the end of the day, I had bills to pay, and like
Of course.
you can't. I
No.
mean, you know, I mean, this is the thing. Like when my daughter was born, you know, I went to the hospital, and I brought Sophia like a puppy. You know, a toy, a toy like puppy, a
Yeah, yeah,
stuffed
yeah.
animal. And Katrina was complaining because like I brought Sophia something, but I didn't buy her nothing. She's like, everyone else in the hospital got flowers, but I didn't get flowers. And like, anyway, so I ended up having to buy her like some handbags
Oh,
to make up for the fact that she didn't get flowers. Um, so yeah, that's the kind of
I used to buy for my parents' anniversary. I used to buy the flowers and write the card and sign it with my dad's
mhm,
signatures. Not every man is like you at all. And she would complain sometimes too because she'd go, I'm a nice woman. Why the heck aren't you?
yeah,
So I was tired when I was older, and I just started doing that. And then I would also, prepare their dinner and organize everything to surprise her because
mhm,
I felt sad that she felt, like he wasn't paying attention. But he was not like ever thinking about that stuff because his head was like money, money, making money,
mhm,
dealing with the corrupt system. And so I
mhm,
get it. Like I would get both sides, and I would try but yeah, I mean, for me, it's always been more the materialistic stuff. I look at the gestures, when someone thinks about you and cares for you, it comes natural for me to wanting to do nice stuff, right?
mhm,
So it's just not about the money itself. It's really about the thought more than anything. But a
mhm,
lot of people are very materialistic, and I mean we're all different. So it's not like they're just more tied into the stuff. And usually I find it's because they didn't have much growing
mhm,
up, or maybe their parents or grandparents suffered. So then genetically they, you know, uh, learn this behavior, and they worry about money because of that, right? And then it's a cycle. That's what I
mhm.
find a lot of this stuff.
Yeah. Anyway, so you know, she ended up working at Sainsbury's, and um,
Yeah.
like she was still like in the mornings, you know, like I say, she weren't she weren't getting up in the mornings, and you know, I used to have to, you know, like I say, you know, I'd go to work and I'd be worried about my daughter, and like she did have a quick, like I said, she did have a quick temper, and you know, I had to stop her lashing out at Sophia on more than one occasion. And so anyway, after a few months, she was like, she wants her mother to come back, and you know, I like I say, I was worried about my kid, and like it just.
Yeah.
So anyway, in the end, I ended up agreeing to have her mother back, and it just went. Whew, it just went downhill from there. Really, it just like Anyway, it got to the stage where I ended up moving out the house. I just couldn't take it any longer. I just had to go. So anyway,
That's it.
yeah,
After that,
I left and I started divorce proceedings. And I remember, like, she called me up and she was like, once she got the letter from the solicitor, and she was like, people like you should be shot. And then she put the phone down. So anyway, I thought, well, that's charming, isn't it?
thanks. Yeah, thank you. Peace. Peace.
And so you'd think that's where you'd think that okay, so I can go to court, I can rid myself of this woman, and I'm going to get some kind of protection, or the court's going to see that things are fair. But couldn't be further from the truth. So anyway.
Please give me a break. It's not just because I'm Italian. I mean,
Anyway, by this point, right, I'm like
right?
up to my ears in debt because I've been living with this, woman and like a mother, and she's had a brother and his wife there, and none of them have, they haven't been contributing anything to
Of course.
any bills or anything. Like for about a year, like I've been paying for their food, and and like I've got like, if you love your daughter, you'll buy it, like I need a Gucci handbag, and so I'm up to my ears in debt, and so I go to court to try and get like 50% of the house, to try and get the house sold, to get 50%.
Since you paid for it, I mean, it
Yeah,
seems fair,
yeah.
right?
Since it was me who paid the mortgage and put the deposit down, seems fair, doesn't it? So anyway, I go to court, and like this judge, right, this woman judge,
A woman judge. Oh, great.
says my acrimony concerns her, and all this shit, right? And basically, the court's like pushed me into giving my ex-wife like 80% of this house, and I'm going to be walking away with 20%. So it's basically like, oh, it's not, this ain't a good deal for men, is it? So anyway.
No, it's not. It's a real crap deal.
Anyway, like, I've gone to court, and like, I said to my barrister, look, I'll agree to this, but she, on the basis that she's going to stay in the country. And the barrister has, said to the judge that, this is my concern. And she said to the judge, she said, right, on tape, oh, no, I've got no intention of leaving the country. Like, I'm going to be staying in the country. So I'm like, fair enough then, like, you can, you can have 80%, like, whatever. And then, anyway, so you'd think that would be the end of it, and poor old Mark could be able to get on with his life, right? But, oh no. 6 months later, she's decided that she wants to leave the country. So we're back in court, right? We're back in court. I remember, I don't know how many hearings we'd had by this point, but like, I don't know, it must have been a couple. And anyway, it's like the main hearing, or meant to be the main hearing, like, when the decision's going to be made. And my my statement hasn't been filed properly, right? So this numbnut judge, again, I don't know if the court was trying to help me or what. I don't know if there's someone at the court trying to, like, do you know what I mean, fuck her over or what. But the judge,
Well, you never know, all right?
the judge is having a go at me for filing my statement wrong, right? Like, he's actually having a go at me for filing my statement wrong.
Are you serious?
Yeah, I swear to you, right? And I got
No,
this,
I know, but it's like, my goodness.
and I got this barrister that stood there like an absolute lemon, just letting this judge like give me shit for filing my statement wrong, right? So anyway, we get outside.
What, did you forget to put a comma somewhere?
Yeah. Anyway, so I'm trying to get a word in edgeways, right, with this judge like having a go at me. And the barristers told me to shut up, right? The barristers told me to shut up, right? So I got outside this courtroom, right, and I literally ripped the shit out of this barrister, right? I was like, why are you here? Like, do you know what I mean? I want that judge to apologise. How the hell did I file my statement wrong? What am I paying you for? Do you know what I mean? I'm paying solicitors. I'm paying solicitors to file my statement, and I'm paying a barrister to represent me, not to stand there and let a judge talk shit to me. Do you know what I mean? And anyway, he's gone off and spoken to the judge, and we've gone back into the courtroom, and the judge apologised that he'd accused me of filing my statement wrong, and the hearing got put back. Right? So this is the best thing that I could hope for, because like I weren't going to win anyway. Do you know what I mean? Like it's just a joke. It's a joke. So anyway, it got put back, and so I was, quite happy about that. And then I got made redundant from my job. Like, surprise, surprise. Like this thing's going on for like
when it rains, it pours.
Yeah, this thing's going on for like years, right? Like,
fuck.
I'm under extreme pressure. Like this, like woman stopping my kid from coming to stay with me for like months at a time. So I'm having to go back to court to get access to my kid again. Spend like thousands and thousands of pounds, right?
Yeah, of course. But hey, justice for all, right? Especially if you're rich.
That's right. And the best thing about it is, like, she was getting legal aid. So, like,
of course.
not only did they let her continue to abuse me, they sponsored it, right?
Yeah, of course. And then they call it justice, Oh man. I don't speak about this stuff on purpose.
So anyway, like I got made redundant, so and I couldn't get legal aid, so I went back and so I had to go to court. Like it was just like a directions appointment, but I had to turn up, because if you don't turn up, then you lost, right? So I couldn't get legal aid, I couldn't get a barrister, I couldn't get a solicitor. But I still had to go to this directions appointment, worried about my daughter. Like, my daughter's in, like, one of the richest countries in the world, and her mother's trying to take her to, like, not the poorest country in the world, but certainly, like,
not the best.
It's not opportunity central.
And women are not probably treated that well there, so... Just want to say a little, put it into perspective.
So who's this? Who's this fight for? Like it's not really for my benefit. It's obviously I love my daughter and I don't want to lose contact with her, but which is what would happen if she'd been gone.
If she moved away.
Like I say, repeatedly she wouldn't let her. That's just when she's in the, 80 miles down the road. What's she going to do when she's like 1,000 miles away in another country? Like, I ain't got no chance of seeing her, have I? I don't even speak the language. So what, I'm going to have to keep paying. Like Slovakian solicitors to get me access to my child again and again and again. Like, do you know what I mean?
I
So
think that's how the mafia was born, man. It was to right the wrongs that the government was doing, right? Originally, that's how it happened. They would make those people disappear. They go, okay, I don't agree with that, but hey, it's certainly effective. And you can understand why, I think, after you went through what you went
yeah.
through.
So anyway, I've gone to court, and like this judge, he's like made me represent myself, like, and do you know what I mean? Like I'm not, I'm not
Yeah,
like an
that's
average person off the street. Like I'm articulate, and like, do you know what I mean? I've worked in sales for like years. So if you like, do you know what I mean? If you put me in a situation, and well, I'm also like really manipulative. So
yeah, exactly. They don't want to screw
yeah,
with
yeah, yeah,
you.
yeah. So at first he was like quite impressed with like my argument, because I said that I wanted my daughter to be seen by like the Kafkas people, like, they were meant to, because I made a an application to saying I'm articulate. I've forgotten the word now. I've made an application to have my daughter to come and live with me, right? So, the Kafkas people should be coming to inspect like my house to make sure it's suitable.
Yeah.
And the judge is like, oh, no, 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 there's no time for that. There's no time for that. No, 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 no. And like, this is like, he should have agreed to that previously. My solicitor said to him to that previously. And he was like, oh, no, no, she's only 6. Like, oh, that's what my solicitor said. My solicitor said, like, she's 7. And he corrected my solicitor and he said, oh, no, she's 6. Like, we can't take the opinion of a 6-year-old. Right? So I said that, she's 7 now, so now you can take her opinion, can't you? And he's like, oh, no, 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 there's no time for that. There's no time for that, right? So anyway, I made a joke, and like, anyway, I could see that, like, he was enjoying like arguing with me. Like, I was putting up, a good argument, like probably a better argument than he'd seen, to be fair. um, and anyway, in the end, like, he said no. So I made a joke and he laughed, right? And then, like, like I say, I'm highly manipulative. So then I was like,
Yeah.
what are you laughing at? And like, I had the upper hand then. So anyway, I just started asking him about, like, see, it's legalese, and like, it's just. Anyway, so I started asking him about the meaning of words, and what's a person? Like, a person is, what we think a person is a human being, right? But in legal speak, a person isn't a human being. A person is someone that statutes apply to. It comes from the Greek persona, meaning mask. So if you're assuming the role of a person, it means you're assuming a mask, right? So anyway, I was asking him about all this stuff, and like, I was properly, like, I don't even know what I said, but all I know is that I trapped him like several times, like proper brilliant wordplay, like just like tore him apart, right? And that he was like crying and like begging me to like leave him alone. I swear to you.
This is
I
your
swear
job.
to you.
You went to school to do this. I didn't. But yeah.
I swear to you, right? And I don't know, like, this was like, I had like major PTSD like after this shit played on in my head for like a year. Like, I kept like going back over it, trying to work out what the fuck had gone on. I couldn't work it out, which is like
The
another,
amount of
yeah,
damage
another.
done, not to mention the kid too, right? Like, and that's
But
what.
but that's what I get. Like, it's like complex PTSD because of trauma in the past, you know, so the slightest thing would just, it just used to like set me off, and like I'd replay it, get flashbacks, and
Yeah,
like
that's true.
I'd be sitting like in a pub or you know somewhere, and like I'd have a flashback, and like it'd be like real, like I was there, and like you know I'd sort of snap back out of it and like look around, and like you know with people looking at me, like did you know I'd you
I
know
know.
I've even asked people that I know in the pub before if they've ever seen me like talking to myself, because like the
Oh
flashbacks.
yeah, you talk to yourself when you have PTSD complex. Hi, Isabella. Oh, Isabella. Today she was getting to know if she is pregnant or not.
Hello,
Oh
Isabella.
no, it wasn't Isabella. It wasn't Isabella. I got her confused. Sorry.
I'm gonna get some water.
All right, get some water. I'll be. Give me
I'll
a
be
second.
back.
I gotta go 1 second.